I do think it's possible that Washington trades up and Chicago allows Washington to trade up because Caleb and his group do not want to go to Chicago. Where you land matters. Chicago has never developed a star quarterback.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So the bottom line is this. Are the Washington Commanders going to trade up for pick number 1 to take Caleb Williams? Now, when we take a look at the Commanders group right here, the Harris group, analytically friendly organization, they like to follow the math. I've been seeing that they're more likely to trade back than trade up. And I think if you have this quote-unquote generational talent, and even like taking the Cliff Kingsbury hire aside, with that comfortability, that familiarity that Caleb Williams and Cliff Kingsbury have with USC last season, I don't know why. Like, here's a trade proposal. If the Washington Commanders want to trade up for pick number 1, here's what it would take. The second pick, the 34th pick, an early second-round draft pick, and a 2025 third. Once again, if Caleb Williams is really that dude, if he is really a generational quarterback prospect, and you just hired Cliff Kingsbury, man, I get it. They were going to maybe hire Ben Johnson. They were on the plane. They were headed to Detroit to talk to him. That fell through. So they lean, Cliff's going to Vegas. But Vegas gives him 2 years and not 3 years. And so Washington goes after Cliff, and they're like, we'll give you 3 years. I understand there's a lot of uncertainty. I understand there's a lot of smoke and mirrors here. But Cliff Kingsbury is a hell of an offense coordinator. That dude knows how to draw up plays. And we can look back at his tenure with Arizona and why everything went wrong. They didn't have a good defense. But Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals were a playoff team. And you're playing Sean McVay twice a year. You're playing Kyle Shanahan twice a year. And you're playing Pete Carroll twice a year. And they were a playoff team. And I think Cliff Kingsbury is way more poised to be an offense coordinator, calling plays, than a head coach. And they got their head coach in Dan Quinn. And we're going to talk about all of that in tonight's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Commanders fans, it's been way too long since my last Washington video. That's on me. If we could try and get this video to 100 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. And you better bet that we're going to be posting a ton of Commanders content this upcoming offseason. So you got your GM and Adam Peters. And one thing that I really like with Adam Peters and Dan Quinn are these guys are like quite literally obsessed with winning. And you'll hear it from guys like Matt Ryan. You'll hear it from former players. You'll hear it from current players, coaches, like great coaches. Everybody vouches for Dan Quinn. And I think that they got this head coach, this proven, this veteran, this leader of men, head coach Dan Quinn. It's completely different than Ron Rivera's kind of more lackadaisical approach. And, I get it. Like, Washington, at the end of the day, folks, is just in a really good position. And if they can hit on their quarterback, and like, it could be Sam Howell. It really could. I don't think they're drafting Drake May. I don't think they're drafting Jaden Williams. I genuinely think the only 2 possible QBs for the Washington Commanders this upcoming season are Caleb Williams or Sam Howell. I think those are the only 2 opportunities. I just talked to a Commanders fan actually last night. He was saying like another North Carolina QB, talk about Drake May, like kind of worries me a little bit. And I like Sam Howell. Him and Eric Bieniemy kind of got figured out about halfway through the season. But, like, folks, I got Scary Terry under contract. I got Jahan Dotson under contract. Like, they have weapons offensively. I'm not saying they're going to be next season the Houston Texans, but it would not baffle me. It would not shock me in the slightest. I have a defensive head coach, just like DeMeco Ryans. Only thing is, Dan Quinn's been around. He's been a head coach. He's been a DC. He's been in the NFL for a multitude of years here. DeMeco Ryans, that was his first year as the head coach. But once again, if they draft Caleb Williams, you better watch out for the Washington Commanders. All right. You got Joe Witt Jr. as the defensive coordinator. I really like this staff that Dan Quinn is building. It's still in its beginning stages. But folks, let's take it from Richard Sherman. All right, so Richard Sherman's on Undisputed, and this was his quote. So USC last season got a lot of flack. Caleb Williams got a lot of flack, whether he was painting his nails, whether you're talking about his dad. There are some like personality issues, some drama issues that teams are concerned about. And I don't think, I think that's completely overdone. I think we're just at that point in the NFL offseason where, you know, we're still waiting for the Super Bowl. The playoffs are still going on, but you got 30 NFL teams entering their offseason and making offseason moves. The NFL draft, we won't even have draft content until the end of the month as far as like combine stuff goes. So you're just seeing, once again, reverting back to what we mentioned in the beginning of the video, a lot of smoke and mirrors. But USC, they had 418 yards of offense during their final 6 regular season games. Like, Caleb Williams was the 2022 Heisman winner. If you watch Caleb Williams play college football, you know the dude can sling it. Like, you know this dude is a walking playmaker. You know he has the potential to be a generational talent. And understand, like, there's plenty of concerns, right? We talked about, you know, his father, you know, like all this kind of just weird drama, clickbait type of stuff. But we're throwing that out of the window. But when you draft a QB at pick number 1, you know, there's a certain level of expectations there. And Chicago was interesting because I do understand that Washington wouldn't trade up for pick number 1, but like when I look at a package like that, the 2nd pick, the 34th pick, and a 2025 3rd-round pick, I don't really know why they wouldn't do a package like that just to trade up 1 pick. Keep in mind, in the Super Bowl era, no team that is picking number 2 has ever traded up for pick number 1. So maybe this is all smoke and mirrors. But USC's defense in the final 6 games of the season gave up 43 points. So don't look at like USC's win-loss record. Don't look at like their team success, because Caleb Williams, man, if you just watch the tape, like the dude's a stud. All right. But here's what Richard Sherman, the stud cornerback, had to say about Cliff Kingsbury and this hire. I think this is a great hire by them. I think Cliff Kingsbury, in my time in the NFL playing against him, he's really creative offensively in terms of the passing game and the concepts that they draw up. It's not the common concepts that you see usually. It's not the common quarterback reads that you're used to seeing. It's very intricate. I've had a couple of times where I've talked to him after the game and was like, bro, I've got a lot of respect for the concepts you're drawing up. It's some good stuff. Now, Washington had the worst defense in the league last season, and they also had a brutal offensive line. Now, I will say a lot of those sacks were on Sam Howell's pocket presence and his pocket awareness, but the starting tackle duo allowed 76 pressures last season. That can't happen this upcoming year. But once again, like, it would not shock me if Dan Quinn gets this defense, because they got some draft capital, and yes, they have some moves they need to make. Offensive tackle, edge rushers, defensive backs. Like, it was the worst defense in the league. But if you can figure out your quarterback, whether it's Caleb, whether it's Sam, whether it's Drake, whether it's Jaden or JJ, like, it doesn't even matter. If you can figure out your quarterback, they will win despite all of your flaws. They will win despite all of it. So Washington, nonetheless, very bright future. They're in a very good situation, and I kind of want to pick my Commanders fans' brains, especially NFL fans as well. Let me know what you're doing if you're the Washington Commanders GM right now. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. If you want more Washington videos, let me know down below. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.